The countdown isn't just moving forward anymore. It feels like it's closing in from every direction. Because what's coming next isn't just another season. It's the chapter where everything becomes undeniable. The story we've been following isn't building anymore. It's arriving. And now we're stepping into one of the most powerful and emotionally intense parts of The Chosen Yet Season 6. This is no longer about setup or anticipation. This is about impact, about consequence, and about moments that will stay with you long after they unfold. Season 6 begins without hesitation. There's no slow introduction, no gentle return into the story. It picks up right where everything started to fall apart, carrying forward a tension that refuses to let go. The very first moments take us into Gethsemane, a place that feels quiet on the surface but is filled with emotional weight underneath. This is where everything changes, not through action but through acceptance. A single prayer shifts the direction of everything, a moment of surrender that defines the entire story moving forward. From here there's no turning back, only a path that has already been chosen. The arrest that follows doesn't feel like a dramatic twist, it feels inevitable. There's no struggle, no resistance, just a quiet understanding of what must happen. And that's what makes it so heavy. Jesus is taken, moved through a system that already knows its outcome. When he's brought before leaders like Caiaphas, the atmosphere becomes even more intense. The accusations, the false testimonies, they don't feel like a search for truth. They feel like steps toward something already decided. And in the middle of all this noise, there's a calmness that stands out. A silence that speaks louder than any defense ever could. Then comes the defining question, the one that changes everything. Are you the Messiah? The answer is simple, steady, and unshaken. There's no attempt to escape, no effort to argue. Just truth spoken without fear. And in that moment, the outcome becomes final. The trial doesn't end with uncertainty. It ends with certainty. From there, the story shifts into the hands of political power, because the decision now moves beyond religious authority. This brings us to Pontius Pilate, a man caught between what he sees and what he's expected to do. Unlike others, Pilate hesitates. He senses something different, something that doesn't match the accusations. But the pressure around him keeps building, louder and more demanding. His question, whether Jesus is the King of the Jews, feels less like curiosity and more like a test of truth. And once again, the answer comes calmly, without resistance. Pilate delays, searching for a way out, sending Jesus to Herod Antipas in hope of avoiding the decision. But Herod sees things differently. To him, this is not a moment of truth, it's a chance for spectacle. He wants to be entertained, to witness something extraordinary. And when that doesn't happen, when he's met with silence instead of performance, his reaction turns to mockery. What could have been a moment of clarity becomes another step toward rejection. And just like that, the last opportunity for escape disappears. When the story returns to Pilate, everything feels heavier. The crowd has grown louder, more demanding, more intense. And now comes the final choice, Jesus or Barabbas. It's a moment that should be simple, a choice between innocence and guilt. But the crowd doesn't choose truth. They choose anger. They choose chaos. And in that decision, everything becomes irreversible. Pilate's act of washing his hands doesn't remove the weight of what's happening. It only shows how unavoidable it has become. From here, the story moves into its darkest moments. The suffering begins, not suddenly, but as something that feels expected. Every scene carries a heaviness that builds with each passing moment. Mockery, pain, humiliation, and the quiet presence of what's coming next. The cross isn't shown as a surprise. It's shown as something waiting, something inevitable, something that has been there all along. And that's what makes this season so powerful. It's not about unexpected twists or shocking turns. It's about feeling every step of a journey that was always leading here. It's about understanding the weight of each moment, the silence between words, the emotions that don't need to be spoken to be felt. What makes it even bigger is how this story is being presented beyond just the screen. Season 6 of The Chosen is expected to arrive in fall 2026, bringing multiple episodes together for a deeper, more immersive experience. And beyond that, The Crucifixion is set to be released in theaters in spring 2027, turning this moment into something shared on a global scale. This isn't just storytelling anymore. It's becoming an experience meant to be felt together. Behind the scenes, the intensity of this season has been just as real. Jonathan Rumi has described it as one of the most challenging experiences of his life, not just physically but emotionally and spiritually. And Elizabeth Tabish has shared how deeply personal many of these scenes felt, as if they went beyond acting into something much more real. This season wasn't just performed, it was carried. But even with all the darkness, this story doesn't end here. Because what comes next changes everything. Season 7 is already in development, and it will bring the resurrection, the moment that transforms everything we thought we understood. It's the reminder that even in the heaviest, most painful chapters, there is something greater waiting beyond them. So yes, Season 6 will be difficult to watch. It will be emotional, intense, and at times overwhelming. But it will also remind us why this story continues to resonate across generations. Because the cross is not the end. It's the turning point. The moment where everything changes forever.